Okay, so thank you very much for this nice chat in preparation of today's seminar. I think we can start now. So I'm very pleased to welcome everyone to yet another edition of our seminar, Digital and Public Humanities, organized by the Center for Digital and Public Humanities at Foscari University. Before I introduce you to the guest speakers today, just a few technical instructions. So this seminar is being recorded and will be published on YouTube in a week or so. So please be aware that if you take part in the discussion or in the chat, which we welcome very much, that this will be then visible online. Also, if you want to take notes, you will be able to get back to that seminar. Further instruction, I think that's all we need to say. There will be lots of room after the presentation where we can engage with the presenters in a discussion. Please use the chat if you have questions during the presentation. It's not necessary to have your video on in the discussion. It's always nice to see who is actually present. So I mean, that's up to everyone to decide. Thank you to Stefano D'Alalio, who has been organizing this seminar series as the last cycle, and Stefania Di Vincentis, who especially organized today's seminar. And thank you also to Elena Alessandra, who is taking care of the technicalities of the realization of today's seminar. Our three presenters today, Rita Bernini, art historian and curator at the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica, has been working in the Italian public administration of cultural heritage for more than 25 years, and she worked in the National Trust offices of Venice, Rome, Palermo, and is directing restoration works on paintings and sculptures. She is a renowned expert of old master prints and drawings, specialized in 16th, 17th, 18th century paper artworks. And we will hear more about her current collaboration with the Real Academia de Bellas Artes in Madrid, presented now by our second guest speaker today, José María Luzón Nogué, professor of classical archaeology at the Universidad Complutense of Madrid. He studied at the University of Sevilla, Duke University, and Marburg. He has been director of the National Archaeological Museum in Madrid and of the Prado Museum. He is currently a member of the Royal Academy of Fine Arts of San Fernando. And as the director, he's coordinating the multimedia cataloging of the museum collections. And our third speaker today, Maria Cristina Misiti, is an independent scholar and historian specialized in bibliography and book history. She has been teaching and lecturing at numerous universities across Italy and abroad. In 2008, she was appointed director of the Ministry of Cultural Heritage, and for many decades she is an expert specialist of booksellers and collections in early modern Europe, on which she has published widely. And today we will learn about her more recent involvement in the Giovanni Battista Piranesi exhibition that she created at the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica in Rome. So Rita, José Maria, thank you very much for being here with us today, and we look forward to your presentation. The floor is yours. I think we start with José María Luzón, right?
Well, thank you very much. Well, I have to thank you all to be here, but especially Professor Stefano D'Alalio, Franz Fischer, for the invitation to present the result of some years of work where we have been discussing and solving problems on digitizing collection and presenting them and so on. The origin of this, the first thing we are going to present, which is a multimedia book, we call it multimedia book, it was the fact that when we were working with new tools, the images, 3D images, or the DWG images, or things of this kind, vectorial plans and so on. We can use it, we can use them, but we cannot include in a printed book, for instance, because the 3D image, you cannot move in a book. Well, my grandson tries to move them in the books, but he cannot. Anyway, the images that we have, or the archives that we have, we wanted to edit in a new way. The way we had were blogs, were websites, but the website some years ago when we started were only to look things randomly, to navigate was the word we used. I remember when we started with the first website in Pompeii, it was a house we did in Pompeii, and I asked friends, did you see the basement? No, where is it? So we noticed that the website was not enough to explain. We needed a book to be read from the first page to the second page, because in the websites they may see page 44, page 21, but it was not prepared to be read, the page. So the idea was to write a book without pages. Well, a book with chapters, and we started. The first question we had was, how do we organize it? I'm going to share you see, this was the first drawing we made with our specialists in the computers and so the informatic department. This is what we wanted. I want a book where I can add and edit the new archives that we are creating, and that can be read in all kinds of devices and can be download and so on and so. The first book we did was, let's see, this one. No, how come? No, you know. No, this was the second anyway. What needs a book to be considered a book? A cover, a title, an author, a date of editing, and above all, to be organized as a book with pages and the ISBN, which you see below. Some years ago, we started this type of editing of results with the new files that we created. This non-printed book has also the possibility to be edited in different languages. You see this one, which is about Numancia. This is a town that was conquered by Scipio, Africanos, and so here in Spain. We have English and we have Deutsch, German. Yeah? So this is one of the new things, advantages that has the book that edited in this way. Organizing chapters, when you are reading chapters, you always see where you are. You see these lines? This is because I was, before I started, I was trying and making proofs and so. But what is different from printed books here? For instance, chapter 1 is a text. A book is always a text and images that can be photographs, printed photographs, or drawings. The photographs in this new book can be in galleries, in databases, overlapped, So for instance, this is an aerial photograph of Numancia, where this is explained in the text. You can see Numancia in the way it was excavated at the beginning of 19th century, 20th century. You can also have the new 3D that we made for the book, and this is done with a drone. And from it, you can the control lines. Control lines that help us to avoid to have scales. You can take measures here, all kind of material, but I'm going to show you this. These are the control lines. What means that in this kind of book, you can download a viewer for DWG, and you can download the whole file. This is something that's very interesting, that the files that we add in the book, we allow to be downloaded, either to be printed, to be measured, to be studied by other colleagues, scholars. Something that is not normally, is not in printed books, is the possibility of 3D images. And this is what we have in this book. I always speak about a book because it's something you can read from the beginning to the end. But you see the 3D images that are embedded in the text. I have not much time to explain, but for the last thing, you see, this is the control lines of the curia in the sun. You can overlap image and control lines, but you can download in different, always in different type of archives. This book has has footnotes. How are the footnotes? Footnotes are always with icons. Well, what we realized when we started to develop this tool was the need of footnotes. The need of icons in general. Icons for photographs, icons for footnotes, icons for 3D images, icons. So we developed quite a few icons that are used in this model. And icons, you see? The icons we use can be downloaded, and some other projects have used them. Well, and databases are many things. The book is the result of a team that you can see here. Each one has done different technicians and different specialities and so on and so on. Well, so this is the idea, the general idea, how to present and edit images that are normally printed in books, but new kind of images. In the other solution we had was to use them in the database. We had a database in the academy. The database has, like any other database, has a catalog with fields, department, inventory, and so on, so on, so. But what else can we add to our normal database? All the material we developed, all the 3D images, links, and so on and so on. I'm going to show you how we enrich the database of the academy. For instance, in one of the one part of our database is the Islamic architecture. We have plans and maps of all mosques or fortresses, and so this is a project of years, and where you can see plans where you can download the vectorial plan. So this is a tool which is not only to have the plan, the image, the photograph, you can download the whole vectorial plan. We have also photogrammetry. For instance, in this case, that has been added. Here are hundreds of photographs for this building, and all the photogrammetry that you can also see and see in 3D and download in 3D if you want. This the facade in Cordoba, done with several dozens of photographs. This is the mosque in Cordoba, and from it the photogrammetry. But not only the image, as I said, you may download the plans. Let's see. We have a collection of pottery, Iranian pottery, Persian pottery, in fact, 12th century till 15th century. You see, there are inscriptions here that that you can read. You can see. No, it's not only that we have them catalog and with the normal photographic always, but also with the 3D embedded on that. We have also the possibility of sound. So our database has sounds. For instance, we have 22,000 minutes of music, and if we have it, this you see, this is a piano concert. We have the graphic edition on it. Yeah. This is the whole minute, but besides that, we have where we are. No. No, well, you can. Espera que no puedo. Well, no, I'm sorry. Sculpture, for instance, this is the plaster cuts collection that Charles III brought from Naples. And here you have, in this case, the 3D image. You may link with the original, which is in Naples Museum. This is the bronze original. We do it very often. For instance, when we have engravings done with from paintings, and this is the restoration report, the analysis down. Everything is added in archives that are in files that are added to the one. This is a particular case, a 3D of a painting. But why a 3D of a painting? Because this one has, besides the normal information that we have here, the author made his self-portrait behind it. And so we can see it. So as you see, no, well, I'm sorry. What we have developed is a tool for editing in the platform of a book, and another one to be used in our database to to have the possibility of having in the database both. What the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica has done is to use both platforms. In one, they have written a book about Piranesi with text of many authors and so, but using this new tools and adding galleries, adding databases, adding all kind of files. And also they have about 200,000 or over 200,000 prints and copper plates and so that had been organized in a database that we will see also today with the new possibilities that offer these two platforms. So Maria Cristina Misiti will tell you about the Piranesi book, which has been developed with this tool for the year Piranesi that was last year, in fact.
Thank you, José María. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer and all of you are enjoying with us your talk, our talk, and apologize if my English is not so fluent as I'd like. The 5th anniversary of Umberto Eco's death in recent years has had the positive effect of evoking his writings, his works, his quotations. Eco's thoughts and intuition on digital media seem to me very suggestive to introduce this multimedia work dedicated to Giambattista Piranesi. Giambattista Piranesi was an architect, an engraver, a designer, one of the most important artists in 18th century, of international fame. Eco has always been, to use a term he would reject, a techno enthusiast. His interest in technology was part of his great curiosity about the world, his wonderful ability to see the new before others, before everyone else, to the point that he was able to grasp social trends and phenomena years in advance. Eco's reflections on the ways in which the internet intervenes in the process of knowledge, modifying the behaviors and habits of readers to the point of structurally affecting their ability to read, store, and decode knowledge, are still extraordinary and relevant today. According to Eco, technology can give man the dizzying illusion of capturing with a gesture, a click, the essence of things, the proud joy of speed and ease of access, standardizing creative practices and such as reading and writing. Intelligence is therefore creative because it is literally ars combinatoria. The sociologist Derek de Kerkhove, a student of Marshall McLuhan and theorist of connective intelligence, has often remarked that in the era of Google and big data, the answer depends solely on the questions. This statement does not seem far from a famous reflection of Eco. And I'm quoting Eco. For me, the educated man is not the one who knows when Napoleon was born, but the one who knows where to go to find information in the only moment of his life when he needs it, and in 2 minutes. Our brain continues to be a reading and writing brain. The fate of writing and reading, whether it is on paper or not, will continue to reinforce our identity and represent our memory. The transition of the book to the realm of the digital will not simply be a substitution of pixels for typographic ink, but it is certainly destined to change the way we read, write, and circulate texts and images. The web invites to a multifocal, multiverse, sometimes redundant reading, which encourages to consider the knowledge in an integral sense. The pages of the book, divided into chapters as in a traditional volume, leave the authors free to build their own system of notions and values in which very different elements can be co-present in an entropic proliferation in which the reader can receive not only still low definition images, but also moving and even sound. In short, there is a paradigm shift towards a reading-writing process that goes beyond linearity and sequentiality, based on an hypermedia and transmedia narrativity, which tends towards the iconic and associative dimension rather than the alphabetic one. The collection of essays dedicated to the celebration of Giambattista Piranesi on the occasion of the 3rd centenary of his birth in 2020 was conceived as a multimedia narrative entrusted to Italian and foreign authors of different disciplinary backgrounds, Piranesi specialists and not, speakers who have honored the volume and its protagonist, preparing a series of interventions rich in reflections as well as suggestions, which immediately seemed a necessary integration to the 4 paper volumes already published in recent years as a part of a Piranesi project. A complex narrative that unfolds through links, recalls, and various keys that will be offered to the reader as they move through the various chapters, images, places, sound. You see in the screen the images of the exhibition held in Rome in October 2020, celebrating Piranesi. In order to create these links, one would have to put at least 30 paper books on one's desk and many digital databases, something that a scholar cannot always do, and especially in this moment of pandemic in which many libraries are closed and one is trying to exploit the potential of the web to convey cultural content in an innovative way. In this sense, a lot of work has been done in 2020 by the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica, which among the other undertakings wanted to make available to scholars the online database of all the Piranesi's work present in the Institute, publishing on the web images and critical cards of copper plates and prints preserved by the Institute. But Rita Bernini will tell you about this in the next lecture. Piranesi Multimediale, that's the title of the book, Piranesi Multimediale, the link in the cloud for the multimedia book is more than a book, is a virtual library that concentrates multiple forms of communication and that will allow the reader not only to know and study the works of the great engraver, but also to deepen history and background, creating visual maps with events, characters, and ideas, discovering otherwise hidden relationships between several fields of knowledge. A strong point of the synergy created with Professor Luzón and his team in Madrid, and not only with them, around the figure of Piranesi, is the implementation of interoperability with other institutions, facing the now imperative responsibility of transforming ourselves from simple user consumers to creators of our own knowledge, cooperating with a vigilant, conscious, proactive attitude to the processes of cultural production. This was an arduous challenge, but it proved to be a winning one for the success of the project, linked to the celebration of an eclectic and brilliant character like Giambattista Piranesi. The principle of open access to scientific publications, born from below thanks to the advent of internet, has made it possible in the world of research and academic libraries to share scientific knowledge without economic, legal, or technological barriers. It must be said that today the digital humanities are taking a real epistemological turn, defined as knowledge design. This is a digital elaboration of cultural contents that revitalize textual data in the light of a project that exploits digital technologies. It basically means going beyond the simple publication of books as it happens, for example, in Google Books. From what is trivially defined as digital photocopying, which also represents a way of making primary sources accessible, we arrive at a new scientific paradigm that overcomes the traditional separation of knowledge with a new design approach that is particularly appropriate activity such as the creation of a book. Our goal was not the edition of an electronic book, like many others that have already been designed and exist in the market. The e-book had for us also many limitations similar to those of the paper edition. The project corresponds to the need for open, free, and easily accessible communication. As we have seen in the talk of Professor Luzón, the multimedia book Numancia is a model to manage in a logical manner not only text, but images, animations, drawings, databases, and all kinds of files. Indeed, the placement of these files is made in such a way that the reader could make an orderly tour through all of them. Let's have a look on some examples of texts included in Piranesi Multimediale.it. First, you will find the information about in the title page, like a traditional book. The title is the same title of the exhibition held in the Institute in Rome. In the title page, you find all the information about editors, two editors of the book, Cristina Misiti and Giovanna Scaloni, the institutions that are cooperating on this project, and the year publication. We haven't yet published the book, so you can't find the ISBN as in Numancia. On the left side of the screen, you can see the list of contributions. There are many contributions, mostly in Italian, but two in English, one in Spanish. And we would like to translate the Libro Multimediale in English, maybe next year, and divided in 8 chapters. We can start with a video of Colosseo, one of the most interesting of our contribution, a virtual tour inside the most celebrated monument of Rome. Here you see a trailer realized by Colosseum Archaeological Park to present an app that compares Piranesi etchings held by the Institute with images of the monument as it appears to our eyes, some made with the help of a drone. Okay. Particularly important, as Professor Luzón has said, are the icons created to read and encode the contents of the multimedia book. For example, you can see the icons for the footnotes, which can give access to reference work or to entire digitized text. Compared to the traditional paper book, there are a lot of possibilities, as you can see. The text can be enriched with images, audio, video, hyperlinks, and the authors were enthusiastic and excited about this opportunity. In many cases, reworked their contribution, their work. As we said that images can be built individually or in a sequence. In this case, you have a gallery of three images. La prima, scusami, the first, sì. The print of Piranesi, the original drawing, and the original object held in the museum. And so you can see the same object realized in various manners, in various ways. Another interesting is the tripode, realized by a drawing and realized today as an object of art. And last, the Warwick vase and its quotation in a modern object. You can see the last, the Warwick vase realized for the victory of Open of tennis. In this way, it's clear that you can use the results obtained by different disciplines and all presented in the best way you can understand. This one is a work realized by the students of Professor Panza, whose contribution was especially in design, in Piranesi designer. And I finish here and I pass over to Rita Bernini, that will show us how it has been used, this technology, in realizing a Calcografica digital archive. Thank you.
Okay, good evening to all of you participating. I hope you hear me. So once again, also for my part, I wish to thank the organizers for this invitation and for the opportunity to exchange experiences in this field of digital humanities disciplines. My task is to introduce and present the features of the new digital archive of the heritage of the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica in Rome, called calcografica.it. It was created in 2020, the first year of pandemic, and I emphasize this because that was a period of rethinking all the activities of the Institute in light of the health emergency. It's important to remember here that the Istituto Centrale per la Grafica in Rome is a public collection of drawings, prints, metallic and wood plates, and photographs. I say public collection, and I mean in the sense that the Istituto is under the responsibility of Italian Ministry of Cultural Heritage. Just to get an idea, I give you the numbers of our collection. more than 120,000 prints from Renaissance to present day, over 26,000 old master drawings representing the European graphic art from 16th to 19th century, of course, with a clear majority of Italian artists. 24,000 plates made in copper, zinc, lead, steel, brass, wood, linoleum, and cardboard, and 17,000 old photographs, including negatives, positives, daguerreotypes, ferrotypes, and other techniques, contemporary processes, and historical processes from the mid-19th century to present day. So generally speaking, our collection range from 16th century to contemporary art production, including multimedia work. Now, the digital database of the Istituto we are going to show is not complete. It's still in progress. As you can imagine, with this amount of data, we have only started to reorganize the outline of the archive. We have started adding new contents and updating infos already inside. The archive contains more than 300,000 records, each related to an artwork preserved in Istituto's collections. The scientific data and historical data relating to each record were compiled over a period of more than 30 years. And we started when digital technologies were rather elementary and not yet developed as today they are. The scientific data coming from this, let's say, primitive cataloging campaign have been transferred over the years to more and more developed formats, to increasingly performing applications, but still, in any case, they had become outdated. And this was not least because they were difficult to maintain, even from an economic point of view. The Istituto in 2020 has signed a collaboration protocol with Real Academia de Bellas Artes San Fernando of Madrid, and with their scientific and technical consultancy, we have managed to recover the data and have reworked all in order to make the archive more accessible for users to consult, and using a new application platform projected by the Spanish Real Academia. This platform was adapted to the needs of the browsers of our database, let's say to the final users. This was made possible with a MySQL program, with which we manage our relational database, integrated with a CMS program that we use to manage the contents of the information. Let's say that with the CMS program, we use a backend of the record, of every record on which we operate, entering all the new information and making all the amendments and corrections we need. And then publishing the data on a front end visible to all users. Not all information is made available to users, and we'll see that some information can be used by institution for a better organization of internal work. After this long but necessary introduction, I only want to underline that before illustrating the features of the archive, I want to say that in fact, this archive has today taken on all the functions of a real online collection, as many we find on web. In Italy, public museums have not yet reached a general standard of accessibility on their online collections. They usually limit themselves to make available to users a selection of their most well-known works, let's say the so-called masterpieces, highlights. This happens generally in many countries. However, we know that the collections of Italian museums are not all on display, and that many works are stored in museum deposits, often closed to the public due to lack of personnel, economic problems. Personnel must handle the artworks and make them available to the public. There are many naturally also conservative reasons. So therefore, the possibility for scholars and publics of various kinds to easily access to the material already scientific cataloged through this database, in fact, brings the public and scholars closer to the museum, making it more and more accessible. The feature of this particular archive, projected with the advices of Real Academia de Madrid, are the same that Professor Luzón told us a little while ago, and can be summarized in two major peculiarities. One is the opportunity to enrich the contents, updating, for example, bibliography or new attributions or more historical information in the remarks field. All these updates can be treated using multimedia content, following those rules of addition Professor Luzón and Dr. Misiti have already explained. For instance, using the icons that we have already seen. They are exactly the same icons we have seen in the multimedia book. Secondly, the way of presenting these multimedia contents is easy for users to understand. They can reach more information about the artwork through internal and external links, or image galleries, or digital libraries. Of course, the images can be enlarged with the resolution characteristics provided for by international standards and in compliance of copyrights. In this way, users are no longer just visitors of temporary, let's say, or permanent exhibitions, but also potential co-curators of the contents themselves, following the logic of public engagement, that is not only using traditional educational channels, but also interactive relational tools, which make the museum a place for continuous training, what we call long life learning. The task of the museum and its scientific staff is, of course, to maintain a quality control on the contents. And in the meantime, allowing the reuse of the data made accessible in accordance with transparency and cultural growth. But now let's look at the database features. So we can see the homepage here and how it's organized. The menu shows the 4 different artwork typologies characterizing our collection. So prints, copper plates, drawings, and photographs. We can see, for example, one of the features of the database. For example, we have selected a series made by a drawing, a preparatory drawing, a plate, and a print pulled by that plate. In this case, we have selected a drawing by Salvatore Rosa, the Neapolitan painter active in the half of 17th century, well known for his landscape, but not less famous for his etchings. This work is called Genius of Salvatore Rosa. The preparatory drawing you can see here is with the technique is black pencil and red chalk with retouches in white lead. And this is to be connected with the copper plate. We can see, we can reach it directly from the record of the drawing. And here we have the copper plate, which is preserved in the Calcoteca of the Istituto. of course, we have the print pulled by this plate. One of the specimens, we have many specimens of this print, of this plate. The technique is etching with retouches in dry point. So these three works connected through links inside every record illustrate the process of reproduction of the image. So from the idea realized in the preparatory drawing, then reported on the plate with some corrections and rethinking, we reach the serial realization of the prints. Let's see another feature of this archive, digital archive. Here we have spoken about Giovanni Battista Piranesi. As Dr. Misiti has said, we keep the entire collection, production of plates by Piranesi. It's quite 1,000 plates. Piranesi father and by his son Francesco, all this corpus were purchased by the Pope Gregory XVI in 1838 in Paris. After many years from the death of Francesco, and carried back to Rome, where it was born. The Piranesi collection is the only published section of our digital archive till now, but as we have seen, we can make research in every section through the search bar. Here we can see this view of the Basilica di Santa Maria Maggiore, and in the verso of this plate, we see a partial representation of the fall of Phaeton, which was a subject discovered on the verso of this plate only in the 60s of the last century. This subject was realized on a large metallic plate, which later was divided in two parts. Now we show the Santa Maria Maggiore view on one verso and the Quirinale Square view on the other on the other plate. And in this way, we can see how the database allows to connect together all the information contained in each single record. We can also see the possibility to reassemble works later dismembered, so rebuild, reconstruct again, something which is lost. In the remarks field of this record, and generally in the remarks fields of all the records of the records by Piranesi, plates and prints, we have entered information coming from the volumes published by our institute relating to the research project on the corpus of plates by Piranesi. In this way, we make available to the public the most updated information we have. We have imported from the paper volumes all these information massively, enriching the database of at least 1,500 records. We are now waiting for the last paper volumes to be published to add new information in the database. Images of many plates are not available because the plates are covered with a protective film. Waiting for a restoration process which will make them readable. Now, when we have no images, we enter the corresponding image of the print, or the other way around. So when we have the image of the plate, we put it inside that. In this way, of course, we must consider that the image related, the print image related are in a reversed image, because so plate is the matrix and the print is positive and negative. Last example I want to show is about the Goya, the prints by Goya preserved in the collection. of the Istituto. As part of the collaboration we all have mentioned with the Real Accademia de San Fernando, we have entrusted a group of scholars selected with the help of Real Accademia with the task of updating and enriching our records of Goya's prints, starting from the information available on the plates kept at the Real Accademia, because the Real Accademia is a kind of colleague of our Istituto. So they preserve all the plates by Goya, as we have all the plates by Piranesi. So the scholars added information on the plates and in the remarks field and in bibliography field, establishing connections with specimens of the same print preserved in other international public collections and with the plates preserved in Real Accademia. So creating links with all these databases. In this way, working on this database to enrich information, we have the opportunity to have internships and scholarships for inner and foreign students and scholars, and to make research and educational projects. Lastly, and I finish, this database offers us the opportunity of having an internal work tool which can help us in necessity of organizing, for example, an exhibition, in the management of loans of our artworks for exhibitions organized by other institutions, for the management of documentation on the state of conservation or for restoration planning, or for the storage of deposits. This because, as we have seen, we can select data. Some infos are not visible to all users and may be used exclusively by the operators for better organization of the institution's work. I finish. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, the three of you, and your technical support in the back. So this was a fantastic presentation. We have wonderful collections, and you know this, and it's a pleasure to look at this in this way. So there is now room for discussion. So everyone is invited to, we are a group of 30 participants, so you can just put your microphone on unmute or leave a note in the chat. I can also read your question or your comment. If you are too shy, oh, that's fine. Okay, I'm just arranging my monitor so I don't miss anything. Also, if you yourself has questions to the audience, that's also possible.
Franz, if I may, I
yeah,
have
absolutely.
a question.
Go ahead, Stefania.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thanks to our speakers. It was really a pleasure to hear your presentation. It was really dense, effective. I really appreciate it. I have a couple of questions, actually, that are addressed to all of you. And in a case specifically to Professor Luzón. As I see, these three projects are intertwined, are really chained, connect each other. So first, did you manage to think about a space for annotation? I'm referring to the digital publication for a scholar or historians or general audience who want to implement in some way the publication. And second, this addressed to Luzón. Are there any link? Is there links into the museum collection that are referred to this digital publication? I mean, the database collection of the museum of the Real Accademia. Has any links connected to these those publications? and that directly move the visitors, the online audience, to look into the online collection, the online publication. I don't know if I was clear enough.
Well, yes, the 2 books you can see in our website, same as we have digitized books that are in you go to the library, you can open a book that has been digitized, but also you may find the links to these books. But directly you may write numanciamultimedia.com and you go in directly. So there, when we analyze through Google Analytics, we see from where they have arrived to our book. Yeah? So this is normal. I don't remember. I could open and see you and show you. What we have is the people who read this type of book. They open chapters. And you asked about how many. I remember about 6 months ago, I was preparing a report about the book on Pompeii, because we have another one on Pompeii, which is dianaarcaizante.com, and they were over 50,000 people in a couple of years, but 1.5 years. The database in the academy, we have between 500 and 600 coming from different ways every day, and pages open in 1 year are over 1 million. Pages open from our database. So these are figures that normally, when you speak about printed information, you don't reach these figures, as you know. And the first one, which was the first one? Sorry.
Yeah, if you have any space for an open space for scholar who wants to add annotations into the digital book, if they want to add some more of their study in their research.
Yes, we do, and in fact, they cooperate. Something we have not explained, because in a few minutes it's too much. Since databases are not signed, nobody signs each record. Records in a museum are normally the result of additional work done sometimes in 100 years. I don't know how many people who started the record, and the last one who added probably a new date, but only one date, is not the author of that. So how do we sign them, and how do we do? We have in the front page, in the lower part of the front page, we have news. That means when something significant has been changed by somebody in the database, is given as a news. Today we discovered the signature of a painter that has been cleaned by the restorer, so and so, and we say the name. There are names associated with changes. And very often, these changes are letters or comments or suggestions done by scholars that write us.
Thank you.
If your question was about a multimedia book,
yes.
Piranesi is now still in working. Is not yet published. When the book will be published, it would be impossible to exchange, to design a space. I mean, but now any scholar can check at the address you see, and can write to the curator to propose his lecture or a new, now is open, and I see for some months it will be still open to suggestions of scholars.
I see. Yes.
Another addition to what I said before, sorry. In some cases, we have changed things in our records because we have seen discussions in Twitter done by specialists, by a discussion in Twitter, and then we check and we realize, oh, this is true what they're saying, and we add it to the database. And we say, in our news, we say, we saw this in Twitter, and this person says right what he says, or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
for what concerns the database archive, for example, some people, scholars, asking for images, for reproduction, for publishing. Sometimes they write us telling, I've seen the image on the archive, and I tell you that the portrait of that man is maybe they know the person, and so they give us they add information. We check them usually, always. We thank for this signal, and then we usually publish and make amendments or we make corrections.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see this, this is our database at the last news. You see?
Excellent.
These are attributions, comments. For instance, a curator from Prado Museum sent us this one here, and we say who he is and what he said and the information he gave us. He said, this painting you have and you don't have the author, or you don't have information about it, was in an exhibition in 1935, and I send you the photographs. You see, these kind of things that are always added with the name of the person who has done it.
Yes. It's a strategy that uses social network to make other scholars to cooperate to the museum research and to the publication. Thank you.
And they do, and they really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example also how the discourse and discussions change in the digital, so triggered by new publications of your collections. More questions. I have one question. So you emphasize the label book. So is this, I suppose, a deliberate choice that you want to somehow keep the format of the book, even though the digital collection is exceeding the book by functionality and content and in all other regards, and as regards modality and everything. So what is it that you want to keep when you think of a book? So I wouldn't talk of a book anymore. So it's a resource or everything else but a book, because it's so different from a book. But some restrictions also in how the content is ordered and presented do remind, in fact, of the functionality of a book. So this is something you are keen to maintain, or are there plans to open this even more towards, I don't know, so also to involve the public, like the question that Stefania raised, just for curiosity?
I'm not specialist in bibliography, but I know that this has been discussed in other forum, people who deal with the printed books and so. The book, I said, it has an ISBN, presented by an electronic ISBN. This is a number which is official. They give us in the National Library the number, and authors want to have printed things in books. So they have authors. This is, of course, you can open anything in any page, but this is a book in the sense that it has behind an institution, it has a title, it has an author, and the author may say, I have written a book. It's not in paper, but I have written a book. It's also thinking in authors.
That's a very important point, and especially also in Italy, digital humanists are struggling because you need these references, stable references, and in the end, ISBN numbers to get your credits and your titoli for your career. So that's of course an external factor in keeping strategies of book presentation or publication. But so that's.
You have to find a way, because if you print the book in paper, you lose the possibility of using this kind of material. If you are going to do it in this way, you cannot lose the possibility of being associated to a book that you have written, even if it has not been printed in paper. Your work has to be recognized. And that's why we have this, and I think people accept very well.
I could add that the multimedia book has all features of a traditional book. There are an editor, a publisher, a near publication. So it changes how you arrange the content, but it's a book in every aspect, because it's a human thought, tramandato, passed to scholars. Just it changes the form, but the message is that of a book. I don't know if I was so clear. It's difficult to explain it in English.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. No. What about the collection that we have? So the database. There it's different, of course. There we have SCADA and lists of information from the database which you would not present as a book, and make it more accessible and reusable, searchable across categories. Maybe also to download certain types of information, including digital representations. That's maybe also something that our colleague Barbara, if she's here, would be interested to analyze patterns in the data and in the images, for example. Whole data sets that are published. Are there plans to support this kind of access in the direction of Rita Bernini, maybe?
At the moment, we haven't decided to open completely, even with download. So it's not possible to download images and text. Every user can take all the information. All is open, but not to download. It's different from the multimedia book. There are problems with copyrights. There are problems with fees, with image copyright, especially with image copyright. So our Ministry of Culture and Italy has approved, let's say, the Faro Convention rules, but only in 2020, so last year. So I think that now we are planning a policy about this problem, which is a problem that in Italian museums is a big problem to solve.
A great opportunity.
A great opportunity, of course. Yes, but we have to manage with a kind of position, a mental position, which we have to change.
Of course, I don't want to be in your situation. So I'm on the side who wants everything for free.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to take care about the collections. So more questions on this or other topics to any of our guests today. So otherwise, we are reaching 6:20, so we don't want to overburden our presenters this evening. More suggestions, other projects to compare to these initiatives?
If they are not questions, I would like to say, so sort of last word. Some of you may think this is an advanced way of editing or organized bank databases and so, and I have one word for that. We are in the prehistory. This is prehistory.
Prehistory of what is there to come. Oh yeah.
Yes, I don't know what is coming, but I always say this is prehistory. It's not future.
You're an archaeologist by education as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the right mindset. Yeah, I agree. Here is another question or comment in the chat. Paolo Bertini, if you want to read it yourself or elaborate on this, otherwise I can read it if you prefer.
I see there's a question in...
So I read. I would like to know by you, when a team make a book or an entire website, are there about humanistic studies for icons, tools, notes, and ways to go on, etc., international specific rules to organize the products, or every group of scholars, like in ancient humanistic reviews for their books, take from technology what kind of notations and processes the one prefers? So there are very many reference to different topics. Pick one.
Well, the team is the answer. So the team, we have a large team that has been involved in this. In the first one, which was the book on Pompeii, the Anarchaizante. Yeah. You can go and see the team and see. You see who they are, who they did. So there we have a physician, a doctor in physics who is now in Torino. We have a chemist who is now in Australia. We have a computer specialist and programming, and so one of them is here, by the way, with us today. We have scholars on different topics and things. So it's complicated. This is an orchestra, and I remember I was presenting this to friends in St. Petersburg, and one of the colleagues told me, so you have invented not the editor, but director of book. So, regista, un regista del libro. No? Because you have to organize plenty of things and to make them match together.
I think the question was on standard, on if there are standards about icons, for example, international standards for the symbols of icons.
Yes, thank you.
This was, I think, the question.
Yes, this was the question. Thank you.
José María.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading here. What about putting an icon on online collection? I am sorry, I didn't.
No, the question was if there are international standard rules about icons or about
no, not at all.
Foods.
Not at all. We should look. We have learned in the past years, and since I started with the computers 30 years ago, I have learned W in blue that means Word document. PDF means so, and Apple means Mac. And so how many icons did I learn from American standards, American companies, private companies? How many icons they will learn? So what we should agree, and this could be an European agreement, a European project, if some institutions agree to have the language of icons for editing culture in this, the new tools that we're presented or others that may come, we should have our European language, like the Academy of Icons. I don't know, the Royal Academy of Language in Spain, they take care of the words in language. So we could, a group of us should organize the European language and export it somewhere, because they're very easy to, very readable. Not necessarily the icons we have developed, but we could agree to have a language of icons for the future, which does not exist yet.
But it's
Thank you very much. Thank you.
in the course of being developed. So so my background is philology, for example, so digital editions. So they are also struggling in establishing conventions, how to present your material and make this accessible. And of course, icons is one very functional little tool to enable the user to make meaningful interaction with the material. So I think this is developing as we go, and yeah, but I'm surprised by the turn this discussion took towards the language of icons, iconography. So yeah, are there more comments about or suggestions? Okay.
What about putting an icon in the online collection that links to the multimedia book? No, they are in our website. No, they're not connected. They're not connected. There are different things anyway. And we have several books. We are now working in 3 books on different subjects. So this will be in a library.
Okay, thanks.
You mean to connect entries of the database of the catalog to?
Yeah, I mean icons of you have the online catalog, digital catalog of the collection with your objects, and because since each of many of the objects are the same or quoted, cited in the digital publication, it would be useful to have this connection just more manifested and much more visible.
Like any other link to any.
Yeah, yes, just to put an icon that linked to this digital publication and to see the connection between these 2 projects. And it's a kind of different approach also to the collection to see how wide it could be. It's the same to see an object in 3D and then also to recognize it into a publication in a narrative form. It's a different way.
Yes, when it has sense, we do it, or we may do it.
In a way, it's part of the bibliography of each entry in the collection.
Yes.
So
yes.
Okay, once again, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation and to show your wonderful collections in this very professional and pleasing way. So that's often a deficiency of the products we create as digital humanists, because as you say, I can't agree more, it needs a lot of skills and teams to cover all the competences that enable digital publication of this quality. So thank you very much, and I hope we will keep in touch on further developments. So the contact is established, and I would love to proceed here in whatever way. Thank you for being available today. Thank you to the audience, to the organizers, and all I can do is announce the next seminar in 2 weeks. No, it's on the 17th of November. Marilena D'Aquino from Università di Bologna, and she will talk about semantic web and authoritative humanities data. So as everything also connected to the topic we talked about today. So we talk about data and how to establish meaningful connections between all these wonderful resources that are being created at museums, at humanities centers, and other cultural heritage institutions. So everyone is very welcome to register and attend the next seminar. Further events will be announced on the channels that you're following on Twitter, of course, and other channels. And this seminar will be, as I announced, be published online on YouTube shortly next week. And if you want to go back to the discussion or to the presentations, you are able to do this on YouTube. Everyone, have a nice evening or a nice morning if you're from the US. Usually we have also participants from the US. That's the nice thing about this online format of our seminar series. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day.